For a franchise that spawned so many titles, Battlefield has evolved tremendously over the years, but this time did it go a little too far. We're going to reminisce about all the things we loved about Battlefield 1 and see how Battlefield 5 evolves the series we know and appreciate, and to see where it misses the mark. Hi, I'm Lance with the Leaderboard, and this is Battlefield 1 versus Battlefield 5, then versus now. You may have just been a tater tot in 2002 when Battlefield 1942 introduced the world to a unique gameplay style that made players feel like they were actually on a, say it with me now, battlefield. Players felt like they were engaged in real combat. In 2002, iPhones hadn't even been invented, so yeah, those images and graphics were pretty transformative for the era, believe it or not. The original Battlefield led to a ton of follow-ups, including Battlefield Vietnam, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, and then Battlefield 4. Then somehow later do Battlefield 1 because we decided to change the order of counting. Well, it's not really that. It's just the idea was that Battlefield 1 was set in World War I, and they didn't really have a Battlefield 1. They had a Battlefield 1942, so yeah, Battlefield 1 was set in World War I, representing the dawn of modern warfare. Now, all confusing release order math aside, let's break down this into the essential elements. Battlefield 5 has a tough torch to carry, given that Battlefield 1 is universally recognized as a leading game, and is even one of the best-selling Xbox One games of all time. At the outset, one huge difference is that Battlefield 1 is set during World War I, while Battlefield 5 brings us back to World War V. I'm just kidding, it brings us to World War II. Longtime Battlefield enthusiasts will remember that World War II is where the series began and is also their era in which many of the other Battlefield games took place. There were significant technological advances between the First and Second World Wars, and this attention to detail is evident in the Battlefield series. So what does this mean for the game? Well, it means you won't find iconic World War I weapons from Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5. So if there's a Battlefield 1 gun you absolutely love, you may want to start saying goodbye right now. You can probably also say goodbye to your lovely maces and shovels, but I think we all knew this day was going to come. But you're not here for the history. You're here because you're ready for a boss-ass battle with your battalion. With all that background stuff out of the way, let's take a look at why Battlefield 5 feels like an entirely new experience while also staying true to Battlefield 1. Like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5 shows us a solid, if brief, campaign highlighting different individual stories as they relate to the war at hand. When the format was introduced in Battlefield 1, it was a welcome change, as prior Battlefield games were flagged by some as trying too hard to be like its game series rival Call of Duty. So it makes sense that the game makers would keep this approach, which offers depth and puts a strong emphasis on the untold stories of war. But let's be honest here, Battlefield isn't about the campaign. If anything, Battlefield campaigns generally seem to be designed to familiarize player with the gameplay so we can just all jump right into the real meat of the game. Yes, we're impressed with the strides that the game makers have taken to create a visually stunning campaign with compelling storylines, but this series is all about the player-on-player carnage. And Battlefield 5 hasn't failed us here, with ample opportunities to shoot, run over, trap, nade, and all-out wreck anyone in your path. The tons of folks who love Battlefield 1 will be glad to know that popular game modes such as Frontlines and Conquest show up again in Battlefield 5. But Battlefield 5 also introduces us to some new gameplay modes. One widely hyped mode is the Combined Arms, a gameplay option that takes teams through raid-like experiences with a goal of completing many objectives. The final objective is so tough that teams have the option to exit before taking it on, allowing them to hold on to everything they've earned up to that point. But more adventurous and risky players can attempt the mode's final objective and risk losing it all. And I've played enough video games to know this won't end well for probably most of us. All that hard work and for nothing? Whew, be prepared to see some tales of sorrow over on r/Battlefield 5. I can only hope the reward for beating that final mission is well worth it. Another new gameplay mode is Grand Operations, a team against team mode where matches represent different days in a fictitious battle. Each day is a round. Depending on a variety of factors, the scales will tip to alter the gameplay after each match. So, if for example, you're racking up the kills left and right on day 1, you'll start the next round with decent ammo and solid vehicles. But if you're getting your ass handed to you, you'll find yourself with scarce resources all around at the start of the next match. Ah yes, the old rich get richer routine. Look, I like my realism in FPS, but this is just hitting a little too close to home in this year. Battlefield 5 also introduces us to a Battle Royale mode called Firestorm. It's no surprise that Battlefield is jumping onto the Battle Royale bandwagon. It seems like every game maker out there is ready to offer its own take on the ever-popular Battle Royale game. And to be fair, it's an extremely fitting mode for the Battlefield series. But it does seem to beg the question, does every single video game title coming out in the next decade need a Battle Royale mode? Are we on a path to Battle Royale ourselves into a Battle Royale oblivion? What I'm really saying is, can Battlefield bring it in this mode if the series is already universally acclaimed for its other formats? I'm just disappointed they didn't call it Battlefield Royale. That was a wasted opportunity. But hey, EA, you can have that, for free. A final game mode of note is a story format called the Tides of War. Now this is kind of cool because in lieu of having to pay a subscription fee like we had to do if we wanted extra content in Battlefield 1, the Tides of War offers DLC content released as a series of chapters, free of charge. These chapters will focus on specific aspects of the era, offering new missions and assignments and other features on a rolling basis. In addition to being an all-around new format for Battlefield gameplay, this payment model is also a major change. You may recall that Battlefield 1 required players to pay for a premium pass in order to download additional content. This format leads to all kinds of annoying gameplay dynamics. For example, imagine you're willing to shell out the cash, but your best squad mate goes MIA when they don't want to pay for the DLC. So kudos to the EA team for learning from past mistakes and doing away with this model in an effort to make nice with the gaming community. We all know they needed it. However, since the video game overlords have to make money somehow, you'll still have the option to fork over cash for in-game gear. But not to be worried, this time it's going to be limited to cosmetic items only. Even the biggest Battlefield enthusiasts will admit EA's built up a bit of a bad will over the last few years with its effort to tap into the loot box craze. I won't go opening up old Battlefront 2 wounds like a tauntaun on Hoth now, but it's refreshing to see the company go back to an aesthetics-only based approach. All unlockable content, including things such as perks, weapons, and vehicles, is earned through gameplay. The game's creators at Electronic Arts DICE Studio promised an upgraded gaming experience with Battlefield 5. This means you'll find improvements on gun mechanics, more movement options, including the ability to bust out of buildings superhero style, and more options for stronger, coordinated squad play. Now, if kicking ass in Battlefield 5 is one of your squad's goals, then you'll probably be glad to also know that revives are no longer exclusive to medics. In Battlefield 5, your squad mates can revive you. Hear that, medics? You're obsolete now. Nah, just kidding. We need you. We always need you. You are what keeps us together. Medics are still the go-to here since squad revives take longer and res with lower health, so medics are still the best at revives. Another cool thing, you'll also be able to throw your buddy over your shoulder and drag them to safety, so you won't res them just to see them immediately get impaled or taken out by a sniper once again. But in this effort, Battlefield 5's spawn mechanics are a departure from Battlefield 1. You don't kick off with full ammo and supplies, so it's up to you to figure out, do you want to go in for some kills with limited resources, or hold off on the slaughter and get supplies first. It's no surprise that the visuals in Battlefield 5 are straight up incredible. The stunning backdrop creates a game that feels seamless and an all-around fun to play. In fact, with extreme weather effects specifically, DICE may have gone a little bit overboard with the visuals. The beta sparked some complaints of low visibility, prompting the Battlefield team to introduce something called Visibility Haze to make it a little easier to track down the opposing team. Other than just being a good-looking game, the franchise, which is widely known for feeding players' appetites for destruction, absolutely crushes it, with real-looking building destruction based on weapons used, angles hit, and so on. While we all have a soft spot for ridiculous video game physics, it's oddly satisfying to see a building crumble in the game just as you imagine it would look IRL. But while we've long known that Battlefield 1 series is all about destruction, this new installment brings us something completely new from Battlefield 1 or anything else in the series: fortification. Instead of bringing it down, we're also bringing it up. Now hold your horses, it's not like the game has suddenly gone off and become SimCity with guns or anything like that. Take an obvious note from Fortnite, Battlefield 5 introduces a brand new fortification system. This means you can build, but trust me, this Battlefield has its own spin to distinguish itself. You can use items in your toolkit to restore and reinforce buildings, build passageways, and even to set traps. One more thing to note about Battlefield 5 is that it's introducing an idea completely new to the Battlefield series as a whole: female soldiers on the front lines. The introduction of a female character doesn't initially sound like it should be all that controversial. The controversy has spun around whether highlighting female characters in Battlefield 5 takes it out of its historical realism. While the range of feedback goes all over the map, some people believe the core problem is that it's being incorporated in a way that feels inauthentic. But you also can't respawn in an actual war either, so maybe we can just let this one slide and all band together maybe again and start complaining about loot boxes. Maybe. We just need a common enemy once again. Battlefield 5 is DICE's effort to combine the best parts of Battlefield 1 with all of the other games in the Battlefield series. While it will be an entirely new experience, it'll take place in the comfy, cozy setting of World War II, the origins of the Battlefield series. Now, we're excited for all the new game modes and features, but we can't help but wonder if all the new facets are adding excess to a game that was already pretty damn good. Well, that's all for now. I've been your host, AlphaLands, and thanks for watching. And be sure to subscribe to the Leaderboard. And if you want more, then march on over to our 107 facts about Battlefield 5.